here. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite second go round's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the second half of the Guardians of the Galaxy from Marvel Legends Volume 2, which is Darkhawk and Nova, Kid Nova. And as I say, second go round because the feet broke, so we'll talk about that. This one has the same issues, I just haven't messed with it yet. We'll get there. But otherwise, let's just fly through this thing. Real quick before we do, I just want to say I don't plan on finishing this Build-A-Figure because I'm just not getting any of the movie figures. If you guys have some movie figures and you feel like selling me the arms to this guy, feel free to hit me up. And maybe I'll buy them off of you, but I'm just not going to buy $20 figures. So I'll just talk about this real quick. It's a bummer that this belt wasn't sculpted. That's stupid. It's a bummer that the collar wasn't sculpted at the bottom. That's unfortunate. Everything else works fairly well, except for this leg, which as you swivel it, it wants to come undone. But otherwise, everything seems secure and everything acts like you want it to. And I love the head sculpt. And the jaw doesn't really, does it articulate? It seems like it should articulate, but I can't. No, just for looks. So we'll start with Darkhawk, not to be confused with Shadowhawk, or as I like to call him, Smolverine. Anyway, Darkhawk is okay. There's a couple issues, but I'm not sure they could have done much better. So I think I'm going to give this all a pass, but let's go through it and I'll make a final decision and the final thoughts. So the head is made up of two pieces. The visor and the helmet, like the crest on the helmet, is one, and then the head is a second. Now, most of this is cast in this like blue, sparkly, metallic blue, which does look good, I must admit. It does look striking. And then a lot of the silver is cast separately. So this is a very clean figure overall. The red is painted, and that looks good. It's over top of the blue and probably could have used a second coat, but other than that, it's fine. It's a ball joint on a hinge. And you get up to there, down to there, the swivel, and a little bit of the confused dog look, so it's fine. The silver here is painted on, and it's pretty clean across the board. We have this red emblem here on his chest. That's painted on. That looks good. It's also sculpted. Actually, it might be, yeah, it's sculpted. So that's cool. And then we have the ab crunch. Gets you down to there, 2 clicks. And then 1 click back, so that's good. Waist swivel, that works fine, and then you can manipulate the belt to hide the ugliness of the seam, so that all works. The belt is a floating piece of cast silver. All good so far. Now we have these shoulder bits. Now usually, as you guys know, I like the shoulder bits to be on the shoulder. Usually when the shoulder bits are on the shoulder, usually when the shoulder bits are on the collarbone, on the chest of the figure, it's problematic. This is true here also. But for the most part, I think it was actually the right choice because it's on a hinge. It's not just a flappy bit that's sitting there. So the Darkhawk character design has the shoulders permanently here on the chest. So when his arm is up like this, the shoulders should be there. If it was on the shoulder, it would be down around to the back. So obviously, if you go to a ridiculous degree, that looks stupid as well. But when are you going to have his arms up like this? I think most of us are going to have his arms more down, so I think ultimately it was the right choice. The shoulders themselves are on a disc hinge. Standard Marvel Legends, you get up to there, and the swivel, so that all works well. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, and all this is that same cast blue. Now, for the gauntlets, I can't tell if this is glued or sculpted. But I'm going to go with sculpted. I'm also going to go, it doesn't make sense. You would think that this piece here would be glued in, but I can't find the glue seam, so I'm going to say it's all sculpted onto the arm. So let's talk about the wings. The gauntlets are painted silver, and they look good. The wrist is on a swivel and hinges in and out. This one also swivels in and out, and these claws are all wonky because it's soft plastic, but we're going to try to fix that with a hairdryer later on. Now, the wings. So they're not perfect, right? So if you have the arms straight, that's the best they look, which is not accurate. It should be one piece, it should be clean. I'm not sure what they could have done. I guess they could have had like Spider-Woman where they had the one piece that you put on for one pose and one piece that you put on for another pose. But because of the size of them, I'm just not sure that would have been the right choice. It does suck that they're soft plastic, so they're all warped and look like they're waving at you. But other than that, I think that under the confines of the price point that these figures have to be at, I think this is going to be in the sucks it's that way, but it's okay. I think that's where we're going to have to put this. Could it be better? Yes. But could it be a lot worse? Yes. So just know that. Know that it's not the most thought out thing. Okay? It seems like I need to talk about this more. Because this is it's a big character trait, right? It's very iconic of the character. Very 90s-esque character, by the way. But I think that it gets you close enough. And I'm not sure I have the confidence that they could have pulled off anything more elaborate. Like if they had a super elaborate system with folds and hinges and everything, they couldn't sell it at $20 probably. And I'm not sure if they did sell it at $20, I'm certainly sure they couldn't pull it off effectively. So I think we have to excuse it. I think it's the only viable option. Let's continue. The hips are on T-jointed ball joints, which get you out to there. Front and back to there, so decent range, a bit more limited out to the sides than what they used to be, but it's still ultimately fine, I think. Thigh swivel on both sides, double jointed knee, getting you the full range, a boot swivel, ankle tilt up, down, and a rocker. So it all works fairly well. The biggest issue is the soft plastic claws and the soft plastic wings. And like I said, I just don't know if there's a better way to do it at this price point. I think we got the best option for what they're asking us to spend. Now, that's not to say I wouldn't prefer a better option at a higher price, but that's just not the game that we're playing, is it? Now, as you saw, I broke the first one, and this one has the same problems. I'm going to show you how to fix it instead of a skit today, but we'll get there last. In addition to the Build-A-Figure piece, Nova also comes with this little fella. I don't know anything about this. I'm guessing it's a little Nova Core little creature. It's got some decent paint, and the sculpt is okay. The black gets out of the lines all over the place. Actually, the paint is more horrible the way I look at it. But once again, it's another interesting plastic choice for the base for it to be sculpted in. It's a good enough sculpt, I guess. I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be, but it looks like it's a decent enough sculpt. But, you know, it's a thing, I guess. And that thing is ultimately fine, I suppose. So, once again, I have to say with this wave, they've chosen some really interesting base molds to cast it in color-wise. Like, there is some richness to this gold that I welcome. But let's go through the articulation. So, the head, great sculpt. The crest, all that stuff, I think that's all part of the same piece. The eyes actually have a light, it's a white piece of no, I'm guessing it's all painted. So there's like a light blue ring around the eyes. Can you see that? I'm not sure. It'll help if it's focused. Can you see that light blue ring? It really does give the illusion that it's glowing. It's called light source painting, I mean, you never see something like that on a Marvel Legend, but it looks nice. No shading on the face, but I think it's sculpted well, and everything is painted pretty clean. A couple little scratch marks down in there, but I think that's the individual results will vary. It's on a ball joint on a hinge, so you get down to there, all the way up, like Fat Joe and Remy, and the swivel. The gold collar is painted and sculpted. This whole piece here, this accent design, suit design thing is painted and sculpted. It does get outside the lines here and there because the sculpt isn't the breaks aren't the cleanest, but I think overall it's okay. We have disc hinge shoulders. They get you out to there, and you get I feel like okay, so there's not much musculature in the chest, so you do get a lot of use out of those shoulders, which is nice. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, wrist swivel and hinge in and out. Paint wise, we have these two golds. They don't match perfectly, but I think they match pretty close. And the paintwork is relatively clean. Little sketchy at times, but for the most part, not bad. Same for the, I'm guessing that's blue paint there. Yeah, and once again, it's the same sort of deal. It's not perfect, but it's not hateful. And the fingers are painted. Same for the other side, and this wrist hinges in and out also. We have a ab crunch that gets you all the way down there. The sculpt doesn't continue up all the way, so you're pretty much limited to the first click if you want to have it seamless, but no one looks at the back of their figures anyway, or this far up. And this isn't in line, but I think it's pretty good because it's more important that it lines up in this spot, so I say we give them a break there. Waist swivel, that works fine. The belt is sculpted on, which is nice. Little wrinkles in the pants and stuff, that's all sculpted in the waist. T-jointed ball joints for hips, they get you out to here. Front and back to there, that's the full Monty. And then we have a thigh swivel, a double jointed knee. We have this gold paint again here at the top of the calf, the boot swivel, and then we have an ankle tilt and rocker. But we can't get the tilt right now because this one might be free. This one's free, so I'll show you this one will heat up the other one. So up to there, which isn't much, down to there, which is a good range, and then the rocker. Now let's do some heating. All right, so we're gonna heat up this ankle here and see if we can't get it to come loose. So what this does is it warms up the plastic so that it's more malleable. A lot of times these smaller pegs and stuff, they have a hell of a time on these Marvel Legends, especially on the smaller frame figures. Now, unfortunately, I'm using this blow dryer that I kind of commandeered from my wife years ago, and it's just about run its last heat course. It took a long time for it to heat up, and I had to hold it awfully close. Theoretically, you shouldn't have to hold it this close if yours was working properly. Mine, of course, like so many other things on a day-to-day basis in my life, wasn't working properly when I needed it to. Well, not everything. Let's slow down, so to speak. But this one certainly needed an extra help. So I used it more than you should have to. As soon as you notice that the plastic itself is getting warm, you should be able to stop. And also with plastic that's warped, like Wolverine's claws or Darkhawk's wings, you should also be able to stop. And it should theoretically bring it back to its natural state. Now, whether or not that natural state is the look you're looking for, or anyone in their right mind is looking for, only time will tell. But it should have that reaction. All right, let's try. There we go. There we go. And my hair dryer is taking a beating, so it's almost out of the hot juice, so to speak. But you can see we loosened it up, and it's not going to break. Final thoughts wise, I think that both of these figures are decent if you like the characters themselves. I think they're both worth their price point. Overall, for the wave, I'll say, since this is the last I'll be looking at the wave pieces, there's definitely been some interesting choices here. Angela's definitely a top shelf piece, and a lot of this stuff is really clean. Like all these figures, with the exception of the Vance Astro, are really clean. I think there's some interesting choices being made here with the base plastic color for the sculpts, which is giving something a little unique and a little different color-wise, like to your color palette on your shelves. So I think that overall, these four are definitely at least interesting looking from a aesthetic perspective, just based on the palette of color choices. That being said, both of these guys are pretty good. The only negatives are I broke Nova's feet almost twice, so be careful of that. They come really tight in the box. And Darkhawk's wings are a little out of control, especially in poses like this where it looks like he's got scissor wings. That's just something where you got to come to terms with it. You either have to be okay with it and buy it and deal with it, or not be okay with it and pass on it. But that's whether or not, that's a personal thing of whether or not you can, handle it. I can. Overall, I'm happy with both of them. I recommend both of them as long as you can stomach the wings. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.